Abusia Yamakwaba, Shonkoso, Eba POG Media, and they demba highway, so highway there. And some baby was so I so ya Japan say, Yabami abiga fono, dear echo, and dear Ebana Dana, echo so our highway so. A year NDC General Secretary, a year NDC Chairman Sh0ck, and a day and some baby ababe to ja, or the almost strategy, omono. Omode be win 2024 elections na strategy a odi aba Ghana for agye atomu yi ankasa enye asem keto akwa ma manifesto a NDC for de ba no wa pa ne ho a ensema ewo manifesto ni mu no oma akwasi prata ono ne ye interview no ne ye mo hye na enye asem keto akwa nti si ade NPP amanyoko no omo nhye omo sapomu nsu a enye sapomu nsu fala na yesa omo ye de almost because also and some general mosquito chairman Sh0ck edi to the NDC 2024 elections no when ne ben omo Ghana for enso aye crado because utie Sh0ck and some oka or sanso ka in some bisis say obi a wawia state property and I say Ghana sika afa ne nsem obi a Omobe Hodi, Nipa Corner responsible ahead of 2024 elections. To say, Name Ebwa NDC Amanyoko Nomu to Mba Power. Sanko na Ombechi Omwagum say, and yet fanfully now because Ghana has political party be a person oba power or say obe fight against corruption. But yet to abandon read oba power, na corruption in the refi. Say obe fight against corruption. And mommy enko na yanko nkuti ensema chairman Sh0ck de etuja na ansa na bekono owo ensem kan bia fa hye your comment section hit notification bell so na be ya any update bia be bia no onsa betumi akabi medamase.
Welcome back to Talk Time, and as I indicated from the very beginning, we are talking about the National Democratic Congress. We're going to be talking about Ghana, and we'll be talking about the world. And our guest is special. We're going to be talking to Mr. Johnson Asedu Nketia, National Chairman of the party, otherwise known as General Mosquito. General, welcome to our studios.
Thank you, my comrade.
General, let's start with the state of your party. What is the state of your party? Where is your party at this moment?
Thank you very much, Kesi. And let me greet our listeners. It's been a long while since I appeared here. I intend to be more regular in the coming months.
Thank you, sir.
Well, the state of our party is healthy and strong and poised for battle come December 2027. That is this year. And 2024, that is this year.
Are you winning the elections?
Sure. We can't do otherwise. Ghanaians will not forgive us. What gives you the
confidence that you are winning this election?
Well, it's about preparation, so that hard on the training grounds, easy on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. And that is why we are not approaching this election with any complacency at all. And I'm confident that the type of efforts we are putting in will certainly yield positive results. That gives me the sense of confidence that we are winning the election. And many other things. The reason you could sense and feel the extra focus on Ashanti region is to, deal with some of the problems at source. So we are focusing extra effort in Ashanti region and Eastern region. So, but that doesn't mean that we are relaxing in the other regions.
Why this focus? Is it because these two regions haven't been your stronghold? Is it because you're seeing new signs? What is the reason for this apparent new focus?
The new focus is that when, as a surgeon, you operate a patient you certainly will focus where the disease is. And that is why we are focusing. It has become clear that as a party, we have some disease in those specific areas. And so that's why we are trying to tackle some of the problems at source. And besides that, we have 16 regions, all right. But election is about data. So for some of the regions, when you combine the total voter population, it can be wiped up by maybe one constituency in Ashanti region. And so if presidential election is about numbers, you must give, if you want to give equitable treatment, then it means that when you come to region by region, Ashanti will appear to be having, extra focus. But when you go according to the numbers and the population, you see that we are trying to spread our efforts equitably so we can get optimum results.
In this election, upcoming election, what do you think are the main issues around which you are going to fight? What are the main issues?
Well, it's not about my opinion, but survey upon survey have revealed the issues that are of major concern to Ghanaians. And top on the list is economy and jobs for the youth. And then down there you come, I think number 4 or so is corruption and many other things. So we are designing our campaign strategies to respond to the felt needs of the electorates.
How far have you gone? I mean, does that entail preparation of a manifesto? What is it that you're doing?
Sure.
How far have you gone?
In actual fact, I'm just returning from from a policy dialogue, which we have been engaged in over the years. So after we lost the elections 2020, the group that was engaged in developing our manifesto did not go to working continuously, revising the manifesto based on emerging challenges and all that. So we are far advanced at developing the manifesto of which we will be going into the election. And as I said to you, I'm just returning from one of the penultimate policy dialogues in order to firm up our policy proposals. And also, we've been working on strategizing for this election, but that I'm not going to go into details. So that is also there. So we think we have 2 main problems confronting us. Number 1, we believe that all Ghanaians accept now that the country has been going through some decay for the past 7 years, and that decay ought to be stopped. It can only be stopped when you remove the agent that is creating the decay. So that's one of the major challenges facing the country. The second one is that if you remove the decay, or the agent causing the decay, then you haven't finished. You need now to repair the decay and then to return the country onto the path of growth. That is why we are focusing our attention in these 2 areas, strategizing to win the elections by dislodging MPP, and then what to do immediately after the elections, so that, and I'm emphasizing immediately because Ghanaians seem to be losing some confidence in our democratic experiment. And so there is the need to re-energize their confidence in the system, and they must feel that something new is going to happen. And so we will not have time at all to waste. So we don't think that Ghanaians will tolerate us if after winning the election, we sit down and, even constituting government is a problem, let alone beginning with the changes that they are expecting. So that is why we need to prepare in advance so that immediately we are sworn into office, we hit the ground running. And we need to also, think through our policies well, not to come and be doing knee-jerk approaches and experimentation and so on. Ghanaians will not forgive us because we've been there before, and they expect us to have learned lessons from where there were mistakes. And so they will expect much more from us than when we're coming to power for the first time. So we need to, let Ghanaians feel right from the day of the swearing in that a new wind is blowing. Things are not going to be done the same way that they've been done in the past. And then we need to also demonstrate our readiness to face the challenges, to disentangle what I perceive to be state capture, disentangle the structures of the state capture, and work to renew the confidence of Ghanaians in our democratic institutions.
General, you must be intensely aware of the fact that Ghanaians are fed up with platform promises.
Sure.
How is that going to impact your campaign strategy? We are just fed up with the promises.
Yes. That is why we are very modest in the things we are going to promise. The biggest one we are promising is to restoring the country back to the path of growth generally. And in doing so, we believe that the little resource we have, we are better off concentrating on completion of ongoing projects and abandoned projects and so on. We will not be rushing into creating another set of projects which we will leave uncompleted. Because at times I sit down to think and I realize that from Osagyefo time, when CPP was overthrown, when you pick all the uncompleted projects through all the other governments to date, and you convert them into money, you find out that, Kesi, they may be more than our national income now, our GDP now. So what has happened? We just threw our money away, and then we are sitting down begging. So we think that there must be a paradigm shift where we emphasize on continuing projects started by our predecessors. Look, Cocoa Board is in crisis now. Why? There was Cocoa Roads project, which was funded by monies taken out from outside. The projects were stopped and abandoned. The rain has washed majority of the uncompleted ones away. So we are back. The condition of the roads is back to status quo ante. Meanwhile, nobody can stop our creditors from taking their money from us. So we are paying for roads that we did not construct. So it's like throwing the money down the drain. And it is just one example. If you compare this, you take into account, Osagyefo, what Osagyefo left, and then what the NLC left, and so on up to today. You realize that we just work, and then the reason we do this is that there is some, I don't know how to describe it, some pride in telling people that these are my projects 100%. They were begun by me and completed by me. So I can only take credit for projects that I initiate and complete. What the hell that pride gives us, I don't know. Instead of saying that we have inherited this project, we've continued, it is now working and delivering, results and delivering income to the country, and because of that, we are able to generate enough revenues to pay for the loan or whatever facility we use to develop it. So that pride, mediocre thinking that I can only take pride in a project that I start myself and finish, and that when I finish somebody's project, some people will say that it is not your project. So I've never engaged in this debate of this is our project, that is his project, this is our project, because it does not help the country at all.
But General, there are some who say that we are bankrupt, we are broke, there's no money. Even to continue projects started by your predecessors. There's simply no money. Is that true? And if that is true, how are you going to find the resources to do any project whatsoever?
Well, this is a double-barrel question. I cannot say it is true. And so I will not be able to build the next answer based on the fact that we are bankrupt, we don't have money. Because those who claim we are bankrupt, they are still in charge of the economy, and the profligacy has not stopped. So if we are completely bankrupt, where is the money coming from to sustain that profligate expenditure? Look at our budget and expenditure for this AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire. When you compare it with other countries which are far richer than us, can you be convinced that indeed those who are at the helm of affairs accept that we are bankrupt?
They're borrowing and chopping.
Then number two, I just saw something, I don't know whether it is fake news or proper news, that government is budgeting 150, but has secured 150 million funding for the patching of potholes.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
Kesi, how were the potholes created in the first place? You see, so when you look at these things, and the fact that we had a system of generating revenue to fix these potholes, and we decided to abandon that system. And now we are going to borrow to come and fix the potholes. These potholes and maintenance of our roads was being funded through toll, road tolls. The same government that says the road tolls, have outlived their usefulness, let's abandon it. You open our roads for all these heavy trucks, some of them transcontinental, coming from Sahel. The size of the Sahelian articulators is even bigger than what we have in Ghana. And the load they carry, they all pass through free without contributing anything towards the maintenance of roads. And you now have to go and borrow 150 million to come and fix potholes. That's one of the problems. See, so it is doable when we come and we commit ourselves to it. It can be done. And even though people are claiming the country is broke, it is not all the citizens in the country that are broke. There must be ways out of it. For instance, you see, the latest means of hiding laundered money is real estate. People steal money and they put it in real estate. And the structures, since it was announced that our economy has collapsed, has the construction stopped. The big constructions going on in Accra and in our major cities. It hasn't stopped. The cranes are up there. Mm-hmm. So if we dedicate ourselves to it and we attach more seriousness to property rating, it can generate more money than many other taxes will bring in. So even if somebody has stolen our money, us in government is able to put up 12 houses, 15 houses, and so on. And you are taking property rate. If he cannot pay, he will have to sell some of the houses to pay the property rate of the. That is part of the recovery. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are ideas that can be used to, at least continue some of the projects that they themselves will generate more revenues, and we can be back to where we started. Where many other countries have sunk even further than where we are now. And we shouldn't throw our hands in the air that everything is bad, so let's stop. It has to be done, like in the words of, is it Ifrimamo? He says, the work has to be done. Who will do it? It is us who should do it. We are not the children of Ghana. We are the parents of the new Ghana that we want to build.
Well, you're talking with Mr. Johnson A.Nketia, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress. We're going to take a short break. It is coming to power. I'd like to know what are the first things that they're going to do when they assume power on January 7th, 2025. NDC government. You're back in office. What would you do from January 7th?
I'm being tempted to peep into our manifesto, but I'll resist the temptation. I'll resist the temptation partly. But speaking for myself, as I said, Ghanaians need to feel that there is a wind of change blowing. First of all, we must protect documents, because we've been there before. Documents about corrupt deals and all that were shredded before we came to office. I remember we had a policy that was announced that some people should remain in office for some time whilst we prepare and so on. I don't think that is the way that we should approach this transition. And that is why I think that we should be prepared to as possible so that we can protect the integrity of the documents that we have. Ghanaians are expecting accountability, holding people accountable for what they have done wrong. We are not going to engage in witch hunting and all that if there are no witches. But Ghanaians expect, we owe it to ourselves and owe it to Ghanaians and the generations unborn that nobody should mess up with our resources, the country's resources, and get away with them. So I think quickly we would have to find out how we can hold people accountable. But we will not be looking backwards alone. We have to be looking forward and backwards. so that we demonstrate to the new NDC government that we are not in to compete in who can loot more. So that whilst we are holding previous duty bearers to account, we set example that, look, it will not be tolerated. What is wrong in the previous government will not be tolerated in the current or future government. So I believe that if we are able to demonstrate that we have come, we are going to protect the people's purse, we are prepared to do all the work that will restore the country back to its past glories, we will have sympathies across, together with our friends, with the population. We were here during the revolution, the Rawlins's revolution, the situation in the country. And arguably was worse than this as at the time we took over. But we were able to sustain the confidence in the masses in what we were doing, and we were able to reawaken the patriotism in the ordinary people, and everybody brought their hands on deck, and we were able to scale the difficulties. So I think that is a job that we need to focus on in the very early stages of our new government. So I think those are the things we'll be doing. But when it comes to actual policy measures in government, I prefer to leave that one.
No problem.
Yes.
I've been listening to radio quite a bit.
Yes.
And many of your supporters are threatening to jail officials of this administration who they think have been corrupt. So we will jail you. Are you going to be jailing them?
No, I don't think that anybody in our government has the capacity to jail anybody. Jailing is the issue with the courts. But we will punish wrongdoers.
LDG Tamaklo actually is insisting on prosecution of previous officials.
Oh, if there is evidence to prosecute wrongdoers, it depends on the categorization you are talking about. I don't see them, and I don't want to paint them as previous government officials. I'm saying if you are doing house cleaning, it has to involve everybody. They may be previous government officials with collaborators inside us. So if you get those collaborators, what are you going to do to them? So I'm not comfortable with the term previous government officials, as if when we come, then the searchlight for corruption is going to, yes, focus on a particular set of people, and that all the others who are outside that are free. No. We are saying that the laws of this country were made for all of us. So when we come, we would look at how to apply the law to protect state property. And if anybody has stolen state property, that person will account for his activities. But I won't want to call them MPP people or previous government officials or current government officials. We are saying any and everybody who has done something wrong would have to be, who face the music.
Some of your members are also livid, really livid, saying that this time there'll be no father for all. What does that mean?
Well, maybe they are referring to the previous time, Professor Mills's time, when it was announced that DCs of the previous government should remain, some appointees should remain, and they were there shredding documents to cover up their corrupt deals, and so maybe that is what they are talking about. And maybe they are talking about us also repeating what MPP has done differently. If we think that MPP has compromised our state institutions by ensuring that everybody who works in there is MPP. If you are not MPP, you are handed out, and then others are brought in and so on. some of them, admittedly, that is what they are thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
But what will appease such people? Two things, but I will choose one. Some are demanding that let us repeat what they have done and pay them back. There is a better way to approach it. If we are able to find out who were removed wrongly, and as much as possible, if they can be restored, and who were brought in wrongly, as much as possible, can be removed, then we can all go back to the laws to begin. But what the party people would not accept is for us to come and say that, well, let bygones be bygones, but those who are occupying those positions wrongly must be protected to remain there. I think that will be too much, because if they were put there wrongly, they will continue doing the wrong things. But everybody knows the rules as to how people get to certain offices. If those rules are found to have been breached, then of course the correction must be done.
But there are some areas where this problem is critical. Mm-hmm. For example, the security service, mm-hmm. the Electoral Commission as well. Yeah. If it's found that these areas have been packed with party loyalists, what are you going to do? Police, military.
That's why I'm saying
customs.
There is a way of getting recruited in the security. There's a way of getting recruited in all other government agencies. I am saying we will stick by the law. So if anybody got there wrongly, the law will expose that person for what he is. Okay, so if when you take the national constitution, if you are elected in parliament or government or president, and something is discovered, which if it were known before you became an MP or a president, you wouldn't have qualified to be an MP or president, then you go home. So the same principle will apply to everybody. So if you are found to have been recruited wrongly, we will pursue the law and see how those things can be dealt with. So the important thing is to make sure that you stick by the law. And if you stick by the law, you are always safe. And you are not creating any precedents for some chain reaction in future. If this is the first time that recruitment processes have been breached, you know everybody who was recruited. And if you compare that process with the law, you know those who were recruited wrongly. And it becomes easier to isolate them and treat them the way they should be treated according to law.
So why did you go back to the IPAC?
Well, we gave reasons for not going back to the IPAC. And we got assurances that our concerns have been addressed. So there was no reason to stay away. For instance, we said that the IPAC was put in place to help develop consensus in many subjects which cannot be legislated in their nitty-gritties. So in every democracy, consensus is a major part of it. And so we put the IPAC there. It was not based on any law. But we established conventions as to how the consensus positions were generated, and through the activities of IPAC, we were able to achieve a lot of improvement in our electoral process. Now came Madame Jean and her team, and they decided to treat IPAC differently. And at some point, we got convinced. We got convinced that IPAC has abandoned, deviated from its purposes, so there was no point being there. And so, So following our workout from IPAC, there have been a lot of engagements behind the scenes, some led by Peace Council and many other institutions. So we got to a point where we felt that, well, they had given indication that IPAC will revert to its consensus building ways. And so we thought that we should give it a try. That's why we are back.
But there are still concerns about the Electoral Commission and what it may do. One of those concerns has to do with the alleged appointment of card-bearing party members onto the commission.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get the bridge and cross it.
But you can see the bridge.
Yes, I say we'll get there.
When you get there, you cross it.
When we get there, we'll cross it.
Since joining
because there is, as I have said, there are rules about the appointment of commissioners. So if we are there and we go back to the rules and we find out certain things were done against the rules themselves will prescribe our next line of action.
Are you satisfied since you went back to IPAC how it has worked?
Well, we've just attended, I think, 1 or 2 meetings.
2?
Mm-hmm. And I've not attended myself because now my position has changed. So it's only where there are very critical issues that I attend. Mm-hmm. But our delegation to IPAC feel that, well, it is worth continuing.
What about your boycott of one particular radio station? Mm-hmm. Your friend's radio station.
Which is it?
Your friend.
Kennedy.
Peace FM.
Oh, Kwame.
Yes.
I think we've gone beyond that.
Chairman A.Nketia etuja strategy omoba na omodia win 2024 elections you see an aquasi fear and panic within the NPP amanyo kunima enye asam keto akra yebeda ya bidwafo na say omoje pene kokoti sa audio we edemaye na yebesan so akan mo say o ensem kan bi afahye your comment section click on the notification bell so na be ya any updates bi adebebre mu bia no monsa betumi akabi mesan so akan mo say POG Media medamase.